compassion is having feelings for other people and expecting to treat people the way that you would expect to be treated if you were similarly situated.
You're tuned in to Compassionate Las Vegas, the podcast, where compassion inspires action. Together, we're building a world centered in understanding, empathy, and courageous action, starting right here in the heart of Southern Nevada. We're taking the principle of do unto others as you would have them do unto you to heart. Now, let's welcome a man committed to fostering compassion in every corner of our city, a beacon of compassion in Las Vegas, your host, Will Rucker.
Welcome to Compassionate Las Vegas, the podcast. I'm your host, Will Rucker, and I am so excited for this week's episode. You have no idea how much of a treat you are in for. I'd like to welcome the legend, the icon, none other than Shelley Berkley.
Well, that's very, very kind of you. I appreciate the introduction, and I'm equally excited to be here with you.
Yes, well, I see you out and about everywhere, and I'm just trying to be able to keep up with you.
Well, it was so funny. Last night I was at an event, and I suspect that most of the candidates, it was a candidates forum, are a little bit younger than I am. And each of them were saying how tired they are and they can't wait for the primary. And I found it so ironic because I guess I get my energy from doing these things, but I'm feeling great and I'm full of energy and I love going to all the events that as a candidate you're able to go to. So this has been just a remarkable experience for me.
Amazing. So I like to set a foundation for all of our episodes with a very simple question, and that is, how do you define compassion?
Ah, that is an outstanding question. I think compassion is having feelings for other people and expecting to treat people the way that you would expect to be treated if you were similarly situated. And it's just a kindness and ability to understand what other people are going through. And, nobody has it easy right now, no matter what. And if you can understand that, and listen to what people have to say and why they're saying it, I think you can have a better understanding of what they're going through. And I think that's all a part of compassion, giving to your fellow man and woman, having feelings for what they are experiencing and what they're going through, and giving of yourself. I think that's very important as well. I pride myself on being a compassionate person, but I think it's more wanting to make sure that everybody has an equal chance to do well. And for those that are struggling right now, understanding the origins of that struggle and how you can help possibly to make it a little better for them.
Amazing. I love everything you just said. And I heard in that the golden rule, I heard in that selfless service, so many great nuggets just in that one question. So I like to expand on that and say, how did you come to that understanding of compassion?
I come from I'm the granddaughter of immigrants that came to this country in order to escape the Holocaust. If they had not come to America when they did, I guarantee, Will, I would not be doing this podcast with you because my parents would have never been born and I would have never been born. And so for me, I always felt that every day from from the time that my grandparents fled Europe is a gift to me and my family. And what you do with a gift is you pay it forward. So I understand. I mean, there haven't been too many times in life that I haven't struggled myself. My grandparents couldn't speak English. They came to America with no money and no skills, and they made a life here in the United States. My parents, neither one of them graduated high school because they had to quit school and go to work in order to support their siblings, their brothers and sisters and widowed mothers. And so I just recognize how fortunate I am to have been born in the United States, B, have my family quite by happenstance end up in Las Vegas, where we have been for 60 years now. 4 generations of my family have called Las Vegas home. I think it's important for me who has been so blessed to uh, to give back to other people, and that's what I base my life on. That's what public service is to me, a way of me giving back to this country, not only for having my family survive, which we did, but to thrive, which we certainly have. And Las Vegas plays a big, big part in that.
Absolutely. Las Vegas is my favorite place on earth. I think anyone that has watched the podcast probably already knows that, but I haven't been here quite 60 years yet, but I plan on being here for at least that many. Uh, I do want to ask this question because I've worked with you in, a former life with the American Lung Association. You were an amazing board member, and we've honored you for your legacy of service. And I think that was probably a decade ago, and you're still going. And so what keeps you going? Why do you continue to pour into our community the way that you do?
Well, I'm very fortunate. I enjoy good health and I've got an incredible amount of energy. I believe in public service. It's how I've defined my life. And of course, I was in office for 30 years. And
That's right.
then
Yeah.
9.5 years, the last 9.5 years, 10 years, I was the CEO and senior provost of Touro University Medical School, where we were educating the next generation of healthcare providers for the state of Nevada, which I thought was a very, very important mission. When I decided that it was time to retire from Turo, for no reason other than I thought, let me leave when I'm on top and everybody loves me. And so once I retired from Turo, I started thinking, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? I'm not a beach person. I don't golf. I'm sorry to say. So what do I love
I don't
doing? I
golf
love
either. But okay.
Okay. I love public service. And so I realized that the mayor was, after almost 25 years of public service between Oscar and Carolyn, that a new mayor would be at the helm of the city of Las Vegas. And I made the decision after a lot of discussion with family and friends that that's what I wanted to do with my life at this time in my life. And it's kind of fun. When I first started running, I ran for the Nevada State Assembly. This is the early 80s, 1982. I was pregnant with my son, Max. I was working full time and I was running a campaign. And I don't know how I did that. I'm sure I didn't sleep that year. But when people ask me now, are you tired? Are you, is this hard on you? I said, oh my gosh, no. I said, I'm not pregnant. I'm not walking around with 50 extra pounds. I have the luxury of my children, of course, all being married themselves with families of their own here in town. I'm very fortunate that way. So this is the ideal time in life for me to roll up my sleeves and continue to dedicate my life to public service. I've done a lot, but will believe me, there is so much more to do, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity.
I think that's so inspirational because sometimes, people think, oh, well, at the end of my life, I just want to sit on a beach, like you mentioned, and that's it. But you're like, no, there's more to do. And so I think so many people can take from that, that it's never the end, that you're always able to give a little bit more, to do something else, to reinvent yourself, to start something new, and to never give up on your dreams and your hopes. I also have to give a shout out to Max. He was on the podcast with us a few seasons back, and back in my campaigning days, we were on the trail together a lot. So
Yeah.
really, I mean, amazing, amazing young man.
Max is the nicest human being on the planet. I often tell people I have the distinction of having given birth to the nicest person on the planet, and that would be Max.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I absolutely love that. So you mentioned the medical school, but I understand that you had a little something to do with a small hospital in the state as well. Is that right?
Yes, when this is so, it just goes to show how important speaking with your constituents is. And I'll tell you how the Veterans Hospital in North Las Vegas came to be. When I first got elected to Congress, I set up a number of advisory committees. I had a women's advisory committee, Hispanic, African American, and a veterans advisory committee. And the first meeting, we were talking about, what do you need? What can I do for you? And in those days, I sat on the Veterans Affairs Committee in Congress, and the lady veterans, and they were mostly whacks and waves from the Second World War. Some of them were served in Korea. And so they were older. And in those days, we had a VA clinic. It was the Adelaide Del Guy VA clinic, and that was the only medical services that our veterans had in all of Southern Nevada. And the women told me they needed a mammogram machine, at the Adelaide Del Guy clinic, because now at that time, they'd go see a doctor, the doctor would tell them they needed a mammogram, they'd have to go get a mammogram, then, when the results came out, they had to go back to the VA, get the mammogram read, and for a lot of these people, transportation was very difficult. They weren't driving anymore. And so I decided, well, I'm going to get a mammogram machine for the clinic. And we did. And so we were there at a ribbon cutting for the mammogram machine. And I was on the podium talking about, next time we're going to do something really big. We're going to get an MRI machine, which, oh my gosh. And one of the people came over to me during the ribbon cutting and they said, "You have to think bigger." I said, "Think bigger than an MRI machine?" They said, "Yes." They said, "You need a VA hospital here. You have over 200,000 veterans that call Southern Nevada home. And if they get sick, they have to go to Long Beach, where oftentimes they're without their families and they're in the hospitals all alone." And I started thinking about it. I sat down with my staff, both here in the district and also in DC, and we decided that we were going to go for a full service VA hospital here in Southern Nevada. And it took a couple of years, but we did it. And so
Wow.
I'm very, very proud. That's my proudest accomplishment. And if you're a veteran or if you know someone that is a veteran and you've been over to the VA hospital on 215 and Pecos, it is state of the art, outstanding facility. And I'm very proud of it. And it started with an advisory committee, which, if I'm lucky enough to become mayor, I plan to reinstitute the advisory committees so I can get a lot of input from the people that call Las Vegas home, because they're on the ground. They know what they need. And I am a very, very good listener.
I have to echo how amazing that facility is. I taught a few health classes there, and the moment I first walked in, I was like, "Wow, did not
Oh
know
my
anything
God.
like this existed in Las Vegas." So
Yeah,
you're
not it
absolutely right.
doesn't exist in too many other places in the country. It is one of the newest VA hospitals, and it is spectacular. And let me mention this, and this also is very much who I am. Mayor is a nonpartisan position. And I am very, very happy about that because you represent everybody as mayor in the city. Doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, independent, whatever. That's the mayor's job and responsibility. But I will say this, and this is how I like to work and operate. Um, I got the funding for the VA hospital and the transfer of the land that it sits on from the BLM, Department of the Interior, to the VA during Republican administration, and Republicans were in control of Congress. And as a Democratic congressman, I was able to work with my Republican colleagues and a Republican administration and a Republican VA secretary to make sure that the needs of the people that I represented were taken care of. And I'm also very proud of that bipartisan nature of that facility as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's important, I think, to highlight because we are so polarized right now. And people think there's no way to get anything done in this type of environment. But I believe that what you did was exercise compassion and wisdom in order to get something done. Most of the guests that I have on the program, I ask if you had a magic wand, what's the one thing you would do? I have a hard time asking you that because you've done so much.
Well,
But
um,
let's just say if you did have a magic wand, what is there left for Shelley Berkley to do?
I have to tell you, and this is so ironic. I that is the question when I sit down and talk with um people throughout the city of Las Vegas, if they're business people, if they run 501c3 charitable organizations, if they're involved in one way or another in the community, I always say, if I could wave a magic wand, what do you need? When I was speaking, I'm friendly with the woman that runs the rescue mission, who you honored last week, by the way,
Yes,
Heather
yes.
Angle. She runs the rescue mission. We were having breakfast a number of months ago. I said, Heather, what could I do if I could wave a magic wand? She suggested a mental health facility in the city of Las Vegas because so many of the people that are at the rescue mission have serious mental health challenges. And that seems to be a prevailing situation throughout the homeless population. And that's something I think is very important. If not a facility, some way of helping those people that are living on the streets to deal with their mental health challenges and also their addiction challenges. Those are the two major factors of people that are living on the streets. We're going to need to work on that. It doesn't seem to make any sense to me to provide living accommodations if the person you are accommodating with an apartment, a studio, something, can't take care of themselves or is having some serious mental episodes. So we've got to address, and this is something I'm very wedded to, addressing the homeless issue, ensuring that business people who are complaining throughout the Las Vegas Valley that their customers are having a hard time getting into their stores because the homeless are sleeping in the entryway. You have tremendous compassion for the homeless and how they ended up on the streets, and everybody has a different story. But you also have to have compassion for the businesses. Many mom and pop operations, their whole life savings is in that business. And we need to do everything we can not to impede their customers from having access to their businesses. So homelessness, public safety. So many people, when I'm knocking on doors, when you ask them what the magic wand is, public safety. I'm afraid to send my child down to the park down the street because they can't be there without supervision. Yeah, I'm worried about about public safety. In addition to that, affordable housing, big issue in this community. And I always tell people the first home we ever bought was here in Las Vegas, by Valley High School. It was the old party cinder block homes off of Eastern Avenue. And the cost of the house at the time was $33,000. It was not the
Wow.
Taj Mahal, but it gave us roots in the community. We own property. We belonged here. And I can't help but think that so many thousands of families have the same aspirations that my family had when we first came to Vegas. So it's having a compassion and a sensitivity for all of the people that call Southern Nevada home, that call the city of Las Vegas home. How do we make life better for all of them? And that's a commitment that I have, in order, again, to give back to this community, this state, and this nation for allowing my grandparents to come here and live.
Mm. As we close, I can't believe our time has gone so quickly, but I'd like you just to finish a few sentences for me. So whatever pops into your head, the first thing that comes to mind, just finish the sentence that way. The best things in life are.
Family,
Mhm. What breaks my heart is.
family.
All right. I have hope because.
Oh, I have hope because I'm alive. Without hope, then why are you even breathing? I just, uh, my own personal philosophy is that every day is joyful. It doesn't mean every minute of every day is a wonder, but I woke up this morning. I'm breathing. My mind is operating. My body is healthy. What can I do to help other people that may not be as fortunate as I am? And this is just a great city. One of the things I love about campaigning, and I know we'll get back to your one word answers, is getting to meet everybody once again, because I haven't been in office for about 12 years. And just getting out into the different communities, getting to know people, knocking on people's doors, finding out what they're concerned about, what they're happy about, what they'd like to see over the next 10 years in the city of Las Vegas. That's what keeps me going. And I just love it. I just love it.
You can feel that joy within you. And I always think that joy and heartbreak are connected. If you've gone through something that's really hard, then your
Yeah.
joy gets elevated. It's kind of an interesting paradox. This is Las Vegas. So this last one is dealer's choice. You've got a billboard, so you can only put a few words on it, but it's something that the whole world would see. What would be on that billboard?
Oh, goodness. All right, I have to answer this with 2 because we actually have taglines on my billboards. One is continuing a lifetime of service to our community, and I believe in that. The other one is she gets things done, and I love that, and it's short, it's concise, and it's who I am. I get things done.
Well, Shelley, thank you so very much for joining Compassionate Las Vegas, the podcast. I'm grateful not only for your time with us today, but for all that you've done through your lifetime of service and what you shared with me personally, just as a mentor and friend throughout my time in Las Vegas. So thank you for being on the podcast.
It's my pleasure, Will. And let me mention, I'll tell you exactly when I got the award for the Lung Association, and
Mhm.
I'll tell you why I know it so well. Because it was the first season of the Golden Knights, and they were in the playoffs. And here we had this dinner, and nobody wanted to be there. They wanted to watch the game. So we brought in big screens for the dinner, if you'll recall, and all of us, there must have been about 400 people there. We all watched the Golden Knights play that night, and it was like having a giant extended family with really good food watching this game. And then when it was over, we went on with our business with the Lung Association. But I remember that thinking, this is so cool. First to have the Golden Knights here, And second, that we're all watching television, watching the game at a lung association gala.
Yes, that's right. I do recall that that you've mentioned. So, hey, special moment in time. This has been Compassionate Las Vegas, the podcast. I'm Will Rucker, and as I always remind you, you are not just a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop, and what you do matters. So live compassionately. I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Will. Thanks for having me.